You have probably heard the rumors, people using their prescribed vaginal estrogen cream on their face. As strange as it sounds, this trend is all over social media, blogs and Reddit, promising anti-aging benefits without the need for a separate prescription. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Dr. Anne, a medical doctor here to teach you how to best take care of your skin and general well-being. Now maybe you clicked onto this video simply because you couldn't believe that vaginal estrogen face application is really a thing. If that is the case, you're very good at not being sucked into social media, because if you are a woman of a certain age and spend time online, you have probably been fed posts about the decline in estrogen you will soon experience and the havoc said decline will wreak on your skin. At the same time, you might have seen countless posts about topical estrogen creams reversing said changes and savvy people saving money and a dedicated prescription by simply using the product they were prescribed to treat vaginal dryness and applying it on their face. Blog posts, Reddit, Instagram, you search for it, you will find it. That isn't entirely new. Hormone creams have been around since the 60s and their effect was the topic of studies as early as the 90s. Just as a short recap, estrogen affects different layers of the skin. I have a dedicated video on that topic that I will link for you up there. In the epidermis, it influences proper cell proliferation, desquamation, and the stability of the skin barrier. In the dermis, it influences the production of collagen and elastin, as well as the production of natural moisturizing factors. Put together, that means a decline in estrogen makes the skin dry, more fragile, prone to sagging, and prone to wrinkles. But how does that work? Through receptors. Estrogen is a group of hormones produced far away from the skin that exert their effects by binding to specific proteins on cells called estrogen receptors. These receptors act like locks that estrogen keys fit into, triggering different biological processes in the tissues where they are located. Outside fertility and the menstrual cycle, estrogens influence the brain, the heart, or bone density, for example. When estrogen is present systemically, meaning it goes through the bloodstream, it can reach all areas that have the corresponding receptors, while topical application should have its effects mainly there where you apply it. That is the main difference between HRT, where systemic absorption is wanted, and topical estrogen products like vaginal gels, where absorption ideally is limited and the main effect is at the area of application. Vaginal estrogen products usually contain either estradiol, the more potent form of estrogen, or estriol, a weaker form. Equally as important as what is in the vaginal gels is how they are tested and formulated. The skin in your vagina is mucosal skin, which has a different function and different properties than the skin on your face. Vaginal gels are made in a way that they, when applied to the vaginal mucosa, have a good topical effect, meaning they stimulate the estrogen receptors in the vaginal tissues with minimal systemic absorption. The effect you want from your product is to increase moisture in the vagina so you don't experience dryness, irritation, and pain with sexual intercourse. You do not use it to treat other symptoms like hot flushes, mood swings, and brain fog, or to address your bone density. It is supposed to work locally only. To get that effect, the dose is much lower than it is in an estrogen gel applied to other body parts as part of HRT. Here it is supposed to be absorbed systemically to increase blood levels. Obviously, there's not only gel and creams, but also pessaries and tablets to treat vaginal dryness, but as you are very unlikely to consider using them on your face, I'm not going to touch on them any further. The main point here is that with vaginal estrogen gel or cream, systemic absorption should be negligible, which is made sure in rigorous testing. Now, is it safe to take your vaginal hormone product and apply it to your skin, hoping it will increase collagen production and slow down the visible signs of aging? There's absolutely no way to tell. To evaluate if a product is safe for one particular method of application, it must undergo thorough safety testing tailored to that specific formula and usage scenario. This includes evaluating the area of application, the amount used, and the frequency. Without this data, safety cannot be assumed. Your vaginal gel might be safe when applied inside the vagina in a defined amount twice a week, but you can't just assume that this means it is also safe applied to the face daily for several months. We simply don't know how systemic absorption will change when you change area of application, amount applied, and frequency of application. And we are not talking about a basic moisturizer here. We are talking about hormones that might, if you're a person with a uterus and if absorbed systemically in a relevant quantity, give you cancer in hormone-sensitive tissue like breasts and uterus. There's a reason why with HRT your estrogen is paired with progesterone to protect your uterus. There's a reason why these hormones are prescription and why your doctor should take your personal and family history into account when it comes to the decision if HRT is right for you. Using a medication in a manner that differs from what it is originally intended, including applying it to a different area of the body, is considered off-label use. That is something you sometimes need to do because a medication isn't studied for certain populations or age groups, or because there is no alternative. But it is something that should be done under a doctor's guidance and after discussing the potential risks coming with it. Certainly not something you should do because Karen on Facebook said it's fine. If you plan on using a prescribed medication in any other way than it is intended to use, at least make sure to check in with your prescribing doctor to see if they think it is a good idea. But even assuming there is no relevant systemic absorption, there are skin issues associated with aging that might get worse through topical estrogen influence, hyperpigmentation and melasma. Both are hormone triggered, as anyone that suddenly got all patchy during pregnancy will be painfully aware of. So if you struggle with any of those, and chances are that if you are at the age where perimenopause is a concern, you do, applying topical estrogen might make things worse instead of better. Now, there are 0 studies about using vaginal estrogen on your face, so let's take a step back and look at estrogen creams designed to be used on the face. Is there any evidence that they will improve your looks? We do have a few studies that suggested potential benefits from the 90s, but with a small number of participants and the lack of placebo control, they don't really tell us much. Even the authors call their findings preliminary data that needs further research. More recent reviews do again confirm that the theory makes sense and that there are pointers that some of the markers we look at improve, but still conclude that the studies we have are limited and too small to say for sure. Furthermore, in some of the studies, tenderness of the breasts or spotting were reported as side effects, pointing towards the systemic absorption in a relevant concentration. To summarize, not only do we not have good data showing topical estrogen will improve the appearance of the skin, we don't even have good data that it is safe to be used for that purpose. Especially not if you take a medication designed for one purpose and use it for a different purpose on a different area of the body. Now, what are the risks that your vaginal gel will be harmful when applied to the face? I can't say, but probably not very high if you limit the area of application and this is the only place where you apply it. But the thing is, we don't know how high that risk is. And that is enough for me to say, I wouldn't. Again, I am not talking about using vaginal estrogen gel to treat vaginal dryness or even estrogen creams as part of your HRT regimen. I am solely talking about experimenting with medication at an unknown risk and outside its intended use without your doctor's guidance. What can you do to address the signs of aging then, especially if you're looking for safe alternatives to estrogen creams for anti-aging benefits? I probably sound like a broken record, but the answer lies in the tried and tested we already have good data on. Sun protection, regular moisturizing, retinoids, and vitamin C. Maybe peptides or even growth factors if you want to venture in the territory where data is sparse. Because for all of these, we know that they are safe to use on the face and don't have to take the risk of self-dosing with hormones for the vague promise of a slightly improved outcome. And if you enjoyed this video, you will most likely enjoy the ones I linked on the screen here. Don't forget to check out the description box for everything else I have to offer and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss the next video.